I want to introduce two amazing people who are on my team. Actually, three that I want to allow them the chance to tell their story. But I'll first let them introduce themselves. They work for me and my husband's one of our other companies virtually, and they were former crew. And I think it's really important that you guys hear testimonials and you get a chance to relate. And I want to make sure that this conversation, please feel free to write questions in the question box. I want to make sure that you guys feel comfortable to raise your hand, to ask questions about anything that they bring up. And also, if you're just listening because you're at work or doing something, we appreciate you, and that's totally fine too. So first and foremost, let's start with Mr. Hugo Arenas. Yay! So Hugo, tell us about yourself.
That's me. Hi, everyone. I'm Hugo. A little bit about me. I used to work for Royal Caribbean for 15 years on board cruise ship. I love it. And then, yeah, that's it. You know, it was a great chapter in my life.
What did you do, Hugo?
I just started as youth staff, assistant adventurous manager, cruise staff, activities manager, and I finished as cruise director. So it was a great experience. Absolutely love it. And now, COVID, as we know, you know, finito la música. I went back one more contract, and that's when I said, "Oh, I think that's it." You know, I think this is the end for me. And now here I am working on land and loving life on land.
Okay, where do you live?
Oh, I live in Cancun. Sorry, I like to suffer a little bit, so I live in Cancun, having a great time, and I've been here officially since October 2021.
Okay.
Enjoying life.
Oh, we're getting close to, it's been a year and a half. Huge.
I know, right? It's fantastic. So after that chapter in my life, this beautiful lady and her husband is like, "Hey, you want to come and work with us at Ola Inc.?" He's like, "Sure, why not? Let's give it a shot, right? I've never done something like this before in my life, but why not?" So I started working for them with Ola Inc., the company that we're running. I started in November the 1st, 2021. And just learning, you know, trying to run a company without never running a company before, but it was beautiful and amazing. When I joined the company, I was number 8 in the company. Now, a few months later, a few years later, we are 34 employees. Yay!
Yeah, we just hired somebody yesterday, former shipboard girl. She's amazing. And
those stories. She's from Peru, but she lives in Serbia, and I'm working for Ola Inc. So it's amazing.
Huge. Well, I have so many questions for you, Hugo, and we'll dig into those. But I want to introduce another lovely lady who we have on our panel, Patricia Cervantes.
Hi, everybody. This is me. Well, I'm Patricia. I'm from Mexico. I worked for Royal Caribbean for 15 years as well. I started as a youth staff. I had the pleasure to work directly with Christian and Hugo as my managers. And well, as a lot of us, I started with Royal just for only one contract. And I just started the wheel that never stopped. Even though, like, you know, like you go on vacations and you say like, "Oh, I'm going to start thinking of other things." It's like you get a tank of oxygen, you just refill it and go back. So it's just an ongoing thing. And I stayed there for 15 years. They pay me to do 2 of my favorite things. It was traveling and like entertainment with kids. So I really, they were paying me for doing my hobby. When the pandemic came, as Hugo, the same, it was kind of like a stop. And then suddenly I realized that I had time for myself, for my friends, for my family, and that it was just about to stop. But then ships came back. I was called in, you know, like, and I came back, just say as the same, let's go back. this time in a new position, I helped to open 3 ships as a healthy return to service protocols producer. So I had the fun to, like set up protocols in the entertainment department, and I see Adventure Ocean change so much. So when I finished the 3rd ship on my same contract, 6 months after, they told me, oh, now you're gonna go back to Adventure Ocean. So I said, like, oh no, I can't, like after knowing how it's gonna be go back with all the protocols, and the place that I used to love changed so much. And mainly because, like you realize that it's time to just settle down, go back to, like to be more focused on your family, your friends, and mainly to yourself. Because I realized that even though I had 2 months free time, like they were not really my time. Like I was always doing something to prepare for ships or to the paperwork or just trying to catch up, So, well, then I just decided that I was ready to stay at home. When I went back home, my mother was in not the best health situation. So that's when I said, it is just, enough. So I stayed. I came down, like, as you know, it was weird to get off the ship without a contract. And for some reason, they didn't give me a contract. They say later, they were like crazy with all the situation. And well, that was the perfect reason for me to, when they offered me a contract, say like, no, right now, I'm not ready. Hold on. And then I have the blessing that, well, my land network was not so strong because, for 15 years, my bad, I didn't really feed it. But,
who can relate to that? Who can relate to that? Don't feel bad.
Yeah. But, well, like, I was very lucky to have a strong ship network. And, well, Christian and Hugo, I'm sorry. Christian and Hugo got contact me and offer me this, one of my beliefs, and I never thought that I was going to find someone that pay me for my strengths. And well, there are people there. There are people there, guys.
She's a rock star. Thank you, Patty.
Sorry.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you. We love you. You're amazing. And last but not least, I feel like maybe this person, thank you, Patty. We're going to dig into a lot of the things that you brought up, which I think are really, really good. And I think a lot of people can relate to. But last but not least is kind of like he's like the silent but deadly little one. Like he's a little seed that is out there that's making tiny, tiny moves and connecting to people, is Mr. Christian Franco, who I am privileged to have work for me. So Christian, tell your story. Just give us a brief.
Well, it's going to be kind of hard to top Patty's emotional speech. So. But yeah, it's pretty much the same story, guys. On board for 15 years, and then I went shoreside for 1 year before the pandemic hits. Then I find myself on land waiting to see what's going to happen with the ship cruise line industry. In the meantime, Barbara is running a business with partnered with Amazon, offers me to help as recruiter for drivers within the Amazon delivery system. Long story short, then I moved over to with the HR role with Ola Inc. And now we're opening up this new company because we truly feel that there's a need out there. You know, it's like Patty very wisely said, our land network, sometimes it's not fed while we're on board. It's like our cell phone, right? It's just it's really like an alarm clock. Really, there's nothing in it other than your alarm. And then you come to land and you see everything that's happening and people connecting, and you really, really feel like you've been out of space, and no one else can relate to this. Like Barbara said, I would say much more than the military. I think any crew member, also the ones that are working on airlines, they still get that bit of a feeling on land. When you're a crew member on a ship, you don't really, because when you're on land, really just, you're like Patty said, you're just doing all your stuff so that you can go back as soon as possible, because you need that money, right? You're not making money when you're on land. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it. The moment I joined and I joined Barbara's team, I started seeing that there's a need out there. Barbara spotted it and saw how we can make this, like, share the love and share what we're doing and share the vision. And to see those little seeds grow into positions and people really doing their full potential. I think crew members were so valuable. We could work in any position that is given to us. So multitasking, and we can focus. We do all sorts of jobs on board. Even though you have one name tag, there's so many other titles underneath that people don't see.
Yeah,
so
and I'm going
loving
to build off of that, Christian, if I can just interrupt you, is that because I think that's a really important point, and I wrote it down when Hugo just touched on it really briefly, is that I really see a ship to shore as our role, is that I think even many former crew, you don't give yourself enough credit for, I know everybody writes these LinkedIn posts. I have an article that's out there that says, oh, the value of a crew member, and explains the complexities of what a crew member's life is and what you have to take on. But I think what's really critically important is being able to take a Hugo, a Patty, a Christian, and going, what does this person have? What skills did they acquire on board a ship? And how do I match those skills to a job that a cruise line has given to me? Because a lot of times you're working with individuals that, and this is just the nature of the business within a cruise line, that they don't understand these intricacies of what, USPH is, to OPP protocols, to, whatever it's called on whatever cruise line you are now, to dealing with parents, to dealing with guests, to dealing with tour dispatch. So there's so many complexities that we have the ability to take someone's skill set and being able to explain that to the end hirer. I was on a call with a Starboard, and I was just giving them examples of saying, hey, this position matches to this and actually is better because this person brings this plethora of skill sets. So Hugo, I want to talk maybe a little bit about what you experienced as you transitioned from ship to shore into a whole new position that was completely out of your realm. I want you to talk a little bit about like the first maybe 3 months and what it was like for you.
Completely new. I was like, I remember when they told me, yeah, just, run the operation of the company. I'm like, but I'm in Mexico and the company in Miami. Like, oh, how are we going to do that? Right. So we'll figure it out. Like, but they believe it. They knew it. Like, it will happen. Just do it. Like, okay. So I was working, I never used to be in front of a computer like 8 hours from Monday to Friday, and making sure I can help from the distance, but run the operation. It was very confusing at the beginning, right? Like, I don't know, am I going to be able to do it? I never run a company before. I know how to manage people. I know how to manage a group. But I love being, talking to people and all of that. But I'm not gonna be in front of a computer. Oh, I don't know. That's gonna be interesting. But then it's just about, I don't know, like organization, knowing what you're doing. Even though I really didn't know what I was doing, but now you learn by every day was different. You connect with people again. You connect with people. You understand what they're doing. You understand how can you help them. How can you serve them? How can you provide from here? Like connecting the dots and making sure everyone feels supported. Everyone feels that you're there for whenever they need you. So it was an interesting beginning. It was a little bit rough, but then little by little, like everything in life, you feel more confident, right? You feel like, okay, I think I got this. I think how can I move into doing this role? So it was a learning experience. November was easy. December was crazy. I remember Barbara said, oh, December is going to be very quiet. And no, it was a super busy month of December. So I was like, oh my God, what's happening? And in January, I went to Miami for 2 weeks. learned the whole company, and met the people for the first time, and it was great. And after that, it's history. We're still here. We're doing amazing. People love working at Olain. We have tons of clients. Everyone is happy. We're still learning, of course. We're still learning, as we continue growing. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's it.
It's not about perfection, it's about progress, right? How about you, Patty? What did you experience? And I can't remember, after you got off shifts, did you have an interim job before this one?
For me?
Yeah.
No. I just stayed like at home from November until May. And then on May, I got hired by Olain as well. For me, it was interesting. One of the things, as Hugo mentioned, is the distance. Like we are very used to interact, like very close. So being far away, it was.
I'm so sorry, Patty. I'm gonna interrupt you right there. I think got hired. Like, hey, Patty, you're gonna be working remotely from Querétaro, and like it's all right. You're gonna do this and that. Oh, fantastic! And 1 week later, it's like, hey guys, there's a project in Alaska. Can I go to Alaska? And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah. So next month, she was in Alaska already. Like, wow, what a life, Patricia.
Yeah, but this is the foundational things that I think that we can't overlook as being a crew member, is that we are used to constant, never-ending change. And so you have an ability to pivot, you have an ability to shift, where somebody that's land-based might have quit after that point in time. And so we think that as you're going through an interview process, as you're talking to people, and I know we talked about this in our interview webcast, but there's new people on the line here, is that making sure that you have those examples of those times that you've had to pivot or you've had to do something unexpectedly very quickly. I think when you're in an interview, it's hard to think of those examples on the fly. But those are the easiest and most confident things for you to do. When you're having to talk about yourself, it's uncomfortable. But when you're having to tell the time that you had to do this thing in Alaska and lug the water and then that's easy because you know it. You're not having to sell. So Patty, tell me about that kind of that transition. And I also want to go next. I want to talk a little bit about how you guys started organizing your life after this. So let's talk about what Hugo shared.
Well, yeah, a couple of weeks after, like I think that was my first actual project that they let me, like they say, like, oh, here it's just some stickers like for the windows, and say, okay, let's do it. Yes, of course, windows. I get it, window clings. And from there, suddenly they say, like, I suggested, like some flags instead of the window clings to be more visible, because it was gonna be for the. Can I share? Like, yeah,
it
was for the President's Cruise, and they were gonna do a special thing in Skagway because they wanted to bring some visibility to Alaska, So then they wanted to do like a what is it like a yeah, one of these celebrations outside, like with everybody comes out and they
like a festival.
A festival,
like a festival.
Yes, street festival. And then so we decided to offer, just instead of the window clings, feather flags, and it's not feather flags. And then suddenly they say, can we go on a call, because I think we need more of you guys. So I said, like, more like what? And they say, oh yes, we might need, like, to decorate the town. And I say, oh, this is a little bit bigger than I might handle. So then I said,
so what did you do in those situations though?
No, I just say, Hugo, let's, like, this is happening. And they say, oh, let's bring Barbara, to be honest, but it was just never like, we just pulled Barbara. She was in the meeting. And then Barbara kind of like, like she lead the meeting, but after that she say, Patty, this is, like, this is what we're gonna do, take over. And I'll say, okay, let's go over. So from, like I said, like, okay, how, it's just like, I don't know, just transfer something small, like Halloween on board or something, to just like, okay, let's do just this big event, like, and let's just, okay, how am I imagine there? I've been in Skagway already. Okay, good. That's a good point. So then I just, like, oh, these have the street, these are the way, these are, so this is, like, so then all these, hopefully, so I was very grateful because I had this background, this experience on me. So I just put hands on and just imagine myself how I was going to be there. And it helped a lot because I realized I started making maps with all the decoration. I started, like organizing a lot. I didn't realize, for me, it was like kind of like logic to do. But then I realized that people were surprised of all the things that I have done and I have planned ahead of time. It seems that it was like something that other people might not have seen. Like, I don't know, like, but I think,
No, our brains have the ability to connect and to connect skill sets and to connect what you've done in the past. And I think that's what you have to focus on, is the fundamentals of what you've developed by working on a ship and how you can very easily translate that into something. So as you guys are looking at job descriptions for postings that come up, make sure that you're reading the specifics of the job posting. And an exercise that I used to do is make sure I had an example for every single one of those things. So A, for the potential employer, it shows I read the job posting, but B, I prepared and I have real life examples to connect to whatever that thing. So an example would be, have the ability to be flexible and think on your feet. So when you say, hey, when I was reading the job description, I noticed that you had, can I share with you an example of a time that I had to do that in real life? And then you give them the specifics of having to deal with it. Or it says being able to deal with conflict, being able to get along with others, being able to, whatever those things are. So Hugo and Patty, I want to talk a little bit, and Christian, feel free to chime in because I know you have something. When you're getting on a ship, you kind of have this routine. You have, your morning meeting, you get a schedule handed to you, and then all of a sudden you're floating out there on your own in this corporate world that you're working in, and you're working remote. Give me, each of you, the three of you, maybe give me 2 things that you implemented, and I think also tell us how maybe you struggled initially with establishing what your routine was going to be.
For me, one of the things that, like when you come on board, you get a deck phone, and you, regardless if your working hours are 10 hours by contract, you actually are 24/7. Like, you have to be like available. So one of the things for me was hard. I mean, to understand it was like, and that it was an 8-hour job, and that my bosses actually encouraged me to do that, that when the time finished, I should close my laptop and let it go. And at the beginning, I was certainly not doing that. Like I was just like opening at, like 8 hours, and, like I was like this. And then I had to, like later I was checking, and like 8 hours after, or late, like, so for me, I felt that I had the same rhythm, yes. And then my bosses kept on saying, no, like it's just 8 hours. There might be some project that require a little bit more or something, but you need to establish, like, and just prepare your times.
There's no 2-month vacation coming up.
There's no 2-month vacation.
That's a real reality check, right?
Yes.
Really? How about you, Hugo?
They don't get 2 months at OLA? What?
What? How about you, Hugo? How about balance and routine and some things you struggled with?
I mean, you're completely true what you said. You're not looking forward for those 2 months ahead of you or whatever, and do whatever you want. But I mean, you have a start and an end throughout the day, and then you have the weekends off, and then you can plan your days, your evening, and everything. So that was fantastic. Same as Pate at the beginning. We remember we were there working nonstop. Like, oh my god, like ships life, right? Like, look, I have to work at the, but then like, wait, I'm gonna be still professional and work and give my best. But I started one time, I finished at this time, and then I do whatever I want. I can go to the movies one day. I can go and enjoy dinner. I can do nothing about one. I have weekends, and I look forward for the weekends. I never had weekends before. Like, what was that? Like when people say, "Oh, the weekend is coming," like, what do you do on a weekend? So it was like kind of like shocking. But then now after a year and
It
something,
was day 6 and
it's
7.
I know, right? Like it's day 3 of the crew. Like right now it's Monday to Friday, and then you work
Yeah.
from 9 till 6. Of course, as Patty says, we're laying in what you move and whatever. If you get an email, a text from the client, easy, boom, out of the way. Next. Yes, we can do that. But then
I mean, Hugo kept trying to nap in the middle of the day, and we're like, Hugo, like it's not okay to be napping at 3 o'clock. Like, come on.
I need to recharge energy, Barbara. It was shocking. Like 15 years, as you said, doing something, having a routine, having a structure, having, I don't know, someone telling you when are you gonna go on, when are you gonna go home. You couldn't choose your date, and now suddenly you have that freedom to do everything, to plan your own day, to plan your vacation, to plan your life in front of you. It's like, how the heck do I do this? Like,
Yeah.
I need help. But again, it'll be time by time to learn it and you enjoy it, and it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Do I want to go back to ships? I love ships and I will always love them, but I'm having a great time on land, so I don't think I'm gonna go back.
No, he's not going back. We're tying him. We're tying him to land. You said something, Hugo, that made me. Well, Christian, did you have anything to add to that? Don't feel obligated if you didn't, but about your routines.
Just really quick, I'm just going to give a little spin to that perspective that Hugo and Patty shared. Myself, it was a little bit different because I enjoyed how different each day was from one another on board. Like you never lived one the same day. It was different. You were
Yeah.
up and down and walking in different ports, let alone what country you were on, but it was a sea day and then it was a different port, different country, different people, management changed, staff changed, ever changing. On land, I found myself doing the same thing every day, and I refused to like that and marry that lifestyle. And I said, I refuse to live the same year over and over again for the rest of my life. So for me, it was the challenge of trying to see what I was going to do. Maybe I work in a different corner of the house, and maybe I set up a place here. I wasn't dressing up because I didn't have phone calls in the beginning. So it's just finding that structure and getting ready and showing up as if you were going to the office, but you're not really going to the office. So
Yeah.
it can be challenging in that way. Yes, it's lovely to be on land, but it also has its challenges when you're used to having your days being so different one from the other one. So you have to get creative, and maybe you can work one day from Starbucks, maybe a different day but that's how creative you can get with your work so that it doesn't seem so monotonous. Because I had never been as tired as I was when I was on land, especially shoreside Royal Caribbean, because every single day I was doing the exact same thing, and nothing gets you more tired than doing the same task for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So that's where I prefer my feet hurting from walking around than my eyes hurting from staring at a computer for 10 hours and then getting back home and checking emails again. So that was the challenge for me.
And I think that it can become really monotonous. I think that's
Exactly.
the thing to think through. It can become really monotonous. Is like if you're, I don't know, not getting dressed, or you don't get a gym routine, like you're not working out, or you fall off of that routine. Where on a ship, you're like, okay, I know I do these meetings, then I go to go to the gym, then I go to lunch, and you had this routine for 10 years. Then all of a sudden you're on land and you're trying to learn it. And the thing that I know some of our team members is, as you guys think about some of these positions, and some of them have started doing it, which I think is like super cool. And I think you have to balance it, is that travel, if you're working remotely, and you can go one weekend to some place and then stay a few more days, and you work your 9 to 5 or your 9 to 6, whatever your schedule is. But then in the evening, you're in, this other city, or having dinner with your family in this other city. So I think that those are tips and tricks that land people have learned. And by having, this is also a massive benefit of virtual work, but I saw a lot of our employees that they were just like, they were starting to burn themselves out because you're working at a pace that you worked on board a ship. And then you're, not eating well, not exercising, you don't have a routine in place. And then you're not getting the stimulation of the travel that maybe you had before. And so how do you get really intentional about planning that? And then the other thing that I want to talk about, and anybody who's on the call can chime into this, is I want to talk about your social network. Let's talk a little bit about, on a ship, you have this natural social network. You have people that you're eating with. You have people that you're going to the crew bar with. And when you're on land, it's like you and the crickets inside of your house. So let's talk a little bit about what the beginning was for you guys in terms of your socializing, and then what it's become. Whoever wants to go first.
Yes, working remotely is fantastic and I love it, but you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, still me, so it's like, hey, who am I gonna talk to, right? Sometimes you need that. So friends at work, they are around the world. So we have to start building a life on them. So yes, we went out for, I don't know, dinners or a bar, but it was us making that effort to connect with people. Or, as you know, we live in Cancun, so lots of people love to come, so it was also great. But at some point, we were like, this is not a hotel, people. Like everyone was coming here, like friends and their mothers and everyone. So like, I think we'll save you time for ourselves. So it is tough, yes, to make friends, to make that connection. But at the same time, if we don't do it, if we don't force ourselves, if you don't push it, if you don't go out there, you're not gonna connect. So those are the challenges that you have to face on that. Okay, I worked 3 days. That's it. I need a break. I need someone to talk. I need to have a little bit of fun. So you just put yourself to go out. You don't have to go out every night. Sometimes also we enjoy going to the movies. We enjoy having a quiet dinner, things like that. But it's us pushing ourselves to socialize. But we are okay with that. So,
okay.
That's it. It's a challenge, but at the end of the day, you have to do it.
Yeah. Good point. Patty, Christian, anything?
For me, for example, I came back to my hometown. So a lot of my friends, like kids' friends, were like, they were, of course, they continued with their lives. So now it has been, like, to come back and show a little bit of like vulnerability from my side and say, guys, I know I kind of like, like I was showing up every 5 months or 6 months and I saw you once or twice a year, but now I'm back and I really want to fit in your life. So how can I fit in your life? Because I know they have their routines and it's me, as Hugo said, pushing a little bit, to say, how can I fit in your times? Like, so to be able to make that space and be able to connect again to them. And
has anybody else, one of the things that I know, like the reason why we ended up in Miami, and I'm from a small town outside of Chicago, but anytime I would go there, like we had a really interesting life, like from travel to work experience to the people that we worked with. And so when I would go to my hometown, and that's kind of why we ended up in Miami, the people were really boring. Like they were really boring. They hadn't traveled. They hadn't seen the world. And so anytime I went anywhere, I was the topic of conversation. And I'm like, no. I want to have a conversation, the equivalent level of socialization and conversation that you have with a shipboard employee. And that's why I think that when ship people then get together afterwards, you're like, oh, like, good, we get to, nobody's going to ask me a silly question about turnaround day or something like this. So I think we almost have to put our egos aside a little bit. And we've ended up in Miami because there's so many people within the industry and nobody asks you about, well, what's the Caribbean like? Those aren't the type of conversations that I want to be in. And so I think that that's another layer of this. is that we have this really cool, interesting life. So you desire, and I also, like, I do a ton of like meditation and manifestation and all this stuff. And I also believe that like we can create this really cool network by just believing that those people are out there within, you know, wherever you end up. So it's a perspective change for me too. I don't know. I'm sure I see nodding heads, so you guys can for sure relate to that. I'll never, I have a hilarious story about my hometown, is that when my husband's Argentinian, and when we went there after we got married and we were like meeting my family friends and and he's telling, you know, everybody speaks really slow to him there because he has an accent. They think that he doesn't speak English. So they're like, hello, my name is Susan. And then I know that this are my people. I make fun of the Argentinians though. So, but this is my Batavia, Illinois people. So this lady's talking to him, and where are you from? And he says, oh, I'm from Argentina. And she has like a blank stare. She has no idea where Argentina is. And he said, it's in South America. And she like pauses and she goes, I have a friend who just adopted a baby from South Africa. And he's like, okay, so totally different continent. I know that you're trying to connect with me, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Different, totally different language, totally different culture, totally different. But these are the things that you know you're going to face wherever you. It doesn't matter. I know that I'm making fun of Americans because I'm American, and you guys know and have experienced this, but we have to. Sunil, do you have a story for us?
Try to come to France as an Indian, travel around the world, and then you'll find.
I imagine, right?
Yeah.
So true. So true. It's everywhere.
Mic drop on that one, Zanilo.
The bias is everywhere, and we were protected from it on ships in some ways. I was protected from it working for this massive international company, but the real world is that, you know, we have to be active listeners. We have to give people grace. It's our opportunity to share with them our experiences and our culture and where we're from. It might be a little bit, but that's where you kind of have to have this balance of, I need my network and I need my people around me that feed me and that provide me stimulating conversation, interesting, you know, in a crew bar, like you can have arguments over politics and policies and everybody's still friends afterwards. But in many countries, you can't do that. And so I think that there was kind of this level playing field that we're all different and this acceptance. And then when you shift to land, you have to make this adjustment. So I think that feeds into the social side of what we're talking about here, is adjusting and also being like so grateful for what we learned and what we experienced working within the industry that we worked in. And back to interviewing and job finding, is that this provides you a massive arm up, because the hot topics right now, the hot topics in every single workplace is diversity and inclusion and sustainability and environment everywhere. So it is, what's the ESG? Environmental, I can't remember the initials for it, but it's basically all these leadership roles that are being in place, that they're looking at the overall health of these large corporations as it comes to diversity, inclusion, sustainability, kind of future next level roadmaps for them. So when you as a candidate can come in and give specific examples of like diversity and inclusion, like not only am I from this country or from this place, but I work within this environment that there was no option to not include people. There was no option to not, you could not have a bias. You could not have, because you were alongside this person that was a different race, a different religion, a different country, and you guys both had to, in my world, like teach a line dance, or, you had to get along. You had to teach children. And so I think that the more that you can work on those talk tracks and have them really buttoned up and have confidence in the skills that your shipboard talent gave you, then people will go, oh, wow, nobody's talking like that on my team. And so this person, their perspective is going to add value. So I want to go back to our, we have about 9 minutes left. So does anybody have any, based on what we talked about, does anybody have any questions for Patty, Christian, or Hugo? Anything that they talked about that you want to know a little bit more? Feel free to shout out if you worked on ships with them. Questions, concerns, comments, worries? Okay, Patty, I'm going to go around the three of you guys and just give you closing comments for, hey, if you're in the, Sunil is first. So that Sunil, tell us.
Yeah, I had a question for you. So is this going to be like you'll will be placing people on ships or on land also at the same time? On land, basically.
You will stay where you are in your
Okay.
home country. And so some examples of positions that we're looking at is like account managers for ships. So one of the suppliers that we're talking to who works all of his business within cruise, just like Ola Inc., it's like Patty's job essentially.
Okay.
So he's in charge of, he works from the comfort of his home. This person that we will eventually hire works from the comfort of their own home, but they're communicating with ships and with the headquarters and with their who they are, the supplier, to make sure that they're getting the supplies to the ship on time, make sure that revenue performance, this is a revenue-based one. Another one is like a merchandising position for the shops. So it's basically helping the logistics and choosing of the merchandise that goes within the shop. So working with the suppliers, making sure the customs paperwork is done. So you would stay in your home. And depending on what country that we would set you, I know you're in France and you're originally from India, depending on what country that you set up in is, we will, and if the job is like a project or if it's a full-time gig, if it's a full-time gig, then we're going to set you up and we'll be your employer of record in your country. So that we follow all of the local regulations for your country. And if it's a project gig, then you would be an independent contractor. That's going to be the minority of what we do though.
Okay, good to know. So I can be flexible in India as well as in France. That's checking.
Yeah.
India is looking for a big cruise market, so I thought that would be the best right now.
Massive. And actually, one of our friends is the CEO of Jelly.
Jürgen.
Yeah, Jürgen.
Jürgen
He used to be
Cordelia.
one of my hotel directors. He's a great
I
guy.
worked with him just now.
Oh
Cordelia.
yeah, he's
Right.
great.
I did the
fun.
opening as an entertainer, as a consultant for entertainment with them.
Oh, very
So-
cool.
Yeah,
Very
I seen you on the panel with them, and I was very happy to see you all together.
Yeah. And I think that you guys really just have to look at, hey, do I have a full-time job in my local country that I'm happy with and I just want gig work to connect me to the industry, or I'm not happy with what I'm doing where I am. I want to be challenged more. And so I want to reconnect to the industry. And so that's the conversations that if you guys haven't scheduled time with Christian, please reach out to him and he's going to be scheduling time with everybody. Just to say, and I think you guys just have to be very, very comfortable being really honest with him. If we don't know what you're making, if we don't know what you want to make, if we don't know what hours you want to work, if we don't know what time zones, just don't say, oh, I'm open to anything. Oh, I'll take anything. And then I come to you with a position that's $6 an hour and it's not a fit for you. Then I'm going to feel bad. So I think the more that you guys can perceive us as your advocates for any and everything that you do is mutually beneficial. And I think that I have a reputation, Christian has a reputation within the industry of growing people in a right, healthy way. And we've been really, really intentional with the cruise lines to say we are not a staffing company. Staffing companies have a really bad reputation for hawking people and kind of moving them around and selling them to this person, and like, that's not our business. Our business is making sure we communicate the value of a crew member. We intimately understand their skills and how they can fit into what type of position, because I think it's not that easy. Svetlana, am I saying your name right? I hope so. Svetlana. You're on mute, my love.
Hi, I think now you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Hi, everyone. So the question is actually connected to also what Sunil said. It's my first time here. I somehow always miss the email. Sorry about that.
Don't
And I'm
worry.
from Croatia, by the way, so on the other side of the world from you.
Cool.
I was wondering, like, where, for example, Patricia and Hugo, where did they find the remote job? Because I'm at home already for a few years, and I did more of my ship time on river cruises. I was also on ocean, but mostly on rivers. And I've been at home for a few years, and I'm trying to start my business. I mean, I did kind of register a company and everything, but it's not really going how I thought. So yeah, like where there are places that you can check on, or we just wait that things start better with ship to shore. And another thing is, that just now Sunil reminded me, I filled up the questionnaire when I was signing up to ship to shore. And I did mark because I wanted to work as a consultant. So I did mark like just the projects. However, I would be interested probably on a longer term for a few hours, but I didn't know how to say that. So do I connect with Christian, like you said? Is there going to be email asking us where to connect, or how do we do it?
I'll put his email in here. Christian at ship2shoreemployee.com. You can email him anytime. He'll set up time with you guys.
Okay,
and then
thank
we
you.
just want to understand what your needs are. And then what we will do is we did an example on this week. As soon as we have a job posting, when you log onto, and you guys could log onto your portal online, you will see our first job posting, which is the one for us. So we just posted something for Ship to Shore. It's a digital content specialist. We need somebody who has experience. That I want a former crew member who knows and understands cruise lines, but also has had some social media experience. And I don't care if it's just that you have a really good social media account yourself, but that portal, you're gonna see as soon as we get positions that you will get notified, hey, there's been a new job posted. Hey, there's been a new job posted. You can go online. There'll be an assessment potentially for it if we put one in there for it, and you can apply for the job, and then we'll review it. And then basically from that portal, everything that you enter in as yourself, if you put your picture on there, whatever experience, so make sure there's no typos on what you put in there, that then we will associate it to our clients, and our clients will be able to see, oh, Sunil and Svetlana applied for this job. And then they get to decide who they want to interview for it. And we will be, and then on the opposite side is somebody who has a really specialized skill. Then we're going to start talking to you guys and recording videos. So then we can do the other side. It's not just you looking for jobs. It's us presenting you to the cruise lines as, hey, this is a really interesting person that has this really cool experience. How could you use them? And then having them look, oh, we have a project. Oh, we have. So I think that there's two sides of it.
Of course. Yeah, thank you. So we will see what you're saying is we will see when we go on the portal. I just tried a few times, and obviously probably there are no jobs yet. So are we gonna get maybe a notifications, like an email or somewhere when there is a new posting?
Yes.
Oh, that's
yes,
perfect.
Yes. And I'll double check. You guys should have gotten notification about the one that we just posted yesterday. So I'll check why something didn't go out, and we'll see if we can push something out. But you should be getting like a weekly or a email. Wilhelmina, we can take that as a takeaway.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Yes. Okay, so, and we are at time. I want to do closing comments from our three superstars. If you can give these team members some guidance and advice as they transition to virtual, let's go. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Christian.
Just to summarize, and what Barbara said is very true. We don't realize the full potential that we have once we leave ships. Because we're just so used to doing everything all at once. And it's only when you see it through the eyes of someone that has been on land, the fact that we can be so resilient, and so that sense of urgency that no one else is going to have on land, that's what really brings value to what we do. So trust that we will, like Barbara said, showcase all of your talents, and as we're growing and securing more job openings, we will get to the point that we can really sell your talent so that they look for you and not you look for them. So we'll get there.
And I will challenge you guys and say something bold, is that the standards that your cruise line held you to as an employee, from your uniform to audits to public health to anything that you had, those high standards that you were freaking terrified of having a wrinkle in your pants, you know, in your first contract, make sure that you don't compromise those standards on yourself, that you are holding yourself to those same standards, that you are showing up, looking great, being prepared, with the fear of a hotel director
At
your
least from
back.
the waist up. From the waist down, we can wear shorts when we're working.
Yeah. Okay, Patty.
I'm just gonna say, believe and manifest the job that you want. It's
Yeah.
out there and it will show up. Just that.
Yeah, Patty's the perfect example of that. And Hugo.
No, I was exactly the same. You know, like it is very difficult, guys. You know, like we were blessed, we were grateful with what we did on ships, on whatever company we work. It was amazing. But now that we're going to start something new, it is tough. It is difficult. It is challenging. It's frustrating. It is all the things you want to put out there, but also it is possible. There's a light at the end of this that you are worth it. That you're like everything that I learned, that I experienced, everything that my whole past, I can continue doing it in a good way. Like bring it to the present and be useful. It is doable. Don't, just be patient, but look for it as well. It's not going to come to us if we're just sitting waiting for it. We have to be out there looking, knocking doors, researching and all of that. But it is possible. It will happen eventually. And this company, Ship to Shore, it's starting. It is starting, as you all know, but it's gonna be massive. You all are part of this, so don't lose hope. It's coming. It's coming. Thank you.
Yeah,
Guys.
we are who we are because of you guys, not because of who we are as a company, because of the crew and that's our goal, is that we want to be known as the company for every single cruise industry, be it supplier, cruise line, destination, that they know we have the best people. That we have the best people. When they have an opening, they immediately come to us. And everybody says, are you afraid of competitors? So I was like, no, I'm not afraid of anyone, because I know the team that we're building around us. I know the crew that we're going to have. And I know that we're doing these weeklies to invest in you guys, because I want you guys to be able to show up as your best selves. Not for me. Not for me. It's not in my interest. It's for you. It's you guys knowing that you have somebody that's speaking life into what your future can be. And I think these 3 people that are on the phone that were so generous to talk to us and share their stories are perfect examples of that. They show up to work every single day with pride, with excitement. I have to tell them to stop working. And I think that you guys deserve that. And I'm here to encourage it. And I'm not going to let you accept a job that's not the right fit for you, because I want you to have long-term employment. I don't want you to have gig work. I want you to have stuff that brings you joy, that you wake up in the morning that you're excited to do. So that's my soapbox. Thank you guys for coming and participating. You guys make this company what it is. I'm so grateful for you. And please know, Christian, myself, Wilhelmina, we are out there for anything you need. You can email us, you can LinkedIn us, whatever it may be. And Christian's going to start setting up time with everybody, just quick meetings. We have over 200 people in our pipeline. So really right now we just have to filter out who are the people that really truly are looking for something, and what is that thing that they're looking for, so we can match them. Okay. Thank you. Have a great week. Woo-hoo.